Well, hello.
Happy 1 year anniversary, my friend.
Yep, it's flown by.
1 year ago, I was sitting in the parking lot at work waiting for them to open the front doors, and I texted Harrison on Facebook and I said, "Do you feel like going live tonight?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm free." And that's what
This
happened.
was like at 10 o'clock at night. I wasn't worrying about getting to bed early or anything because there was no show or anything.
And then there was. And here we are. We have shirts and we have guests. And I'm going to bring them on in the order of arrival, which makes Mr. Rob Daniels from Visions and Sound the last one standing. Up next, we have, from his metal corner of the world, Johnny Metal John Clauser himself.
What's happening?
Not too much, brother. Good to see you. From Tim's Vinyl Confessions and Unspooled, an adventure in hate tracks, we have Tim from Tim's Vinyl Confessions. And finally, Daydream Nation. Finally, all the way from Rock Daydream Nation in Australia. 2 Australians, 1 show. We have Peter Kerr.
Oh, it's like Celebrity Squares.
Jeez. This is the most I've had. Thank you for joining me tonight, guys.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
You've all met except for John Clauser from My Metal Corner on YouTube. And yesterday he just did an amazing unboxing of the new Wasp Savage 7 box set. And I just want to say real quick, rest in peace, Steve Riley.
Yes.
John, I'm sure you'll want to say something about that.
Wow. Yeah, that was a shock when because you were the one that broke the news to me. So yeah, that was sad news to hear. I didn't realize he had been sick, but he appears on The Last Command, Inside the Electric Circus, and Live in the Raw. And of course, he went on to go with LA Guns for a little bit. But yeah, rest in peace, Steve Riley.
What a shock. Yeah, that was a bummer to read this morning. But, tonight is a celebration, so let's not make it a wake. Thank you guys so much for spending your night with us. We are doing songs about the number one. And I think we're going to play kind of loosey-goosey with the rules here because I've received a guest list from T-Bone, and it doesn't quite jive with my personal set of rules. So we're just going to go with the flow tonight. Now, speaking of T-Bone, the guy who does all the music for the show, as you know, we usually like to start the show with a little thing called Ask Harrison. Well, today we're doing something a little different. T-Bone sent in a question for me. So instead of Ask Harrison, we're going to do a question for me, and I have not seen this. I have not viewed it. I have not screened it. I have no idea what it is. Apologies in advance. Let's just see what they're asking.
Hey, Mike, the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar here. Hope you're having a great 1-year anniversary show. Now, I got a little bone to pick with you about the 5150 album. I know you kind of panned a couple years ago on an episode of your show. Your main problem with that album was lack of depth and creativity in my lyrics. And by contrast, you referred to David Lee Roth as a poet. Would you have preferred if I had put in something more like this?
Whoa! Whoa! Oh, yeah!
I mean, that is some kind of poetry. But all joking aside, Mike, I do have a question for you. Could you name me your 3 favorite Van Hagar era songs? And remember, only time will tell if we stand the test of time. Thanks for having me. Peace to you all. And to Jex, one love.
Oh, good Lord.
It sounded like him. How did he do that?
He must have used AI. We're going to have to ask him next time.
It sounded like Sammy.
Oh, my God. It totally did. I bet you that was AI. That had to be. Wow. Okay. So yeah, I did say those things about the album, and wow, he sure got me there. That was amazing. Top 3 Van Hagar songs. Geez, on the spot here. Cabo Wabo, Feels So Good, Mine All Mine. Go with 3 songs from my favorite Van Hagar album. Why not? Dare I say, why not? We have a lot of people checking in tonight. Hi, Mike. Nice to see everyone. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for celebrating with us tonight. Let's get started on those lists, shall we? Now, we're doing our favorite songs about the number one. And normally Harrison would go first with his first song, but we're actually going to read a guest list from T-Bone first. And he did something unique. He did his top Van Halen songs with the number one in the title in chronological order. So, starting with, from the first album, I'm the One. Then skipping ahead to Fair Warning, One Foot Out the Door. Kind of cheating a little bit with his third song here, but from the album 5150, it's 5150. Then from the live album, Live Right Here, Right Now, There's Only One Way to Rock. And I'm glad he included something from Van Halen 3, because this song was on my runners-up, One I Want, from Van Halen 3. I like that song. Good list, T-Bone, and very creative to do only Van Halen. All right, Harrison. Let's get this puppy rolling. We're not going to run the Cinco song. You go ahead. Start with your number 5 song about One.
All right, I'm just going to throw out an honorable mention real quick. For those of you that watched the end of last show, you might have seen this coming, but I was going to include Judas Priest's One-on-One on my list, but I just didn't think it fit the criteria because there's technically 2 people there. So that's the honorable mention. My number 5 is a bit up Rob's alley because it's from a soundtrack. It's from The Lion King 2, and it's One of Us.
Oh.
The full sort of thing being He Is Not One of Us. And it's basically the song that gets sung as that lion, as an adult, gets exiled. And it starts out, a few voices, and it builds and builds. More voices join the chorus, until it finishes with this just utterly grand finale before coming back to just one voice again as he's finally exiled.
I like it.
I like it too.
Good on you for stealing Rob's soundtrack thunder before his first turn.
Oh, I did that well. Oh, yeah, I should have rearranged that a bit.
I should say, Johnny Metal, just so you're up to speed here, Rob is our local soundtrack expert. He has a show in town called Visions in Sound that runs actually Saturday nights at midnight, like a few hours from now at midnight.
Yeah.
And so he is our local soundtrack expert. And I would assume that you're going with a soundtracky kind of theme for your number 5, but I may be wrong.
Well, you know what? I wanted to because it's a grab a stack of rock. It may not necessarily fall within the soundtrack realm. However, my first choice is actually from a soundtrack. And recently, unfortunately, we just lost Sinead O'Connor, and her vocal talent, I would say, was amazing, and no more so than on the Veronica Guerin soundtrack. And there's a song that she does right off the beginning called "One More Day," and if you have not seen the film, it is basically about Dublin in the 1990s. And the drug problem that went on there, and this woman, Veronica Guerin's, kind of one-woman crusade to kind of eradicate drugs in Dublin at that time. So, good film, great score by Harry Gregson Williams. But you hear the song "One More Day," just that. If you haven't seen the film, I'm not going to ruin it for you. But there's a scene in there where the song is used, and it breaks you down that much. So it's for me, it's a solid number 5. Veronica Guerin.
You're muted. I was muted. She was a journalist, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Veronica Guerin was a journalist.
Just for the metalheads out there, Savatage have a song about her on the Wake of Magellan album. So there you go. Fun fact for the rockers. And speaking of rockers, there's one man here that's more metal than metal. And that's Johnny Metal, and thanks for joining us for your very first time here. Blackie Lawless peering right over your shoulder.
That's right. With a warlock to his side. Okay, well, again, thank you, and happy anniversary. So my first choice is going to be one where I can combine another little love of mine, and that would be the world of professional wrestling. So
what are you going to do when Johnny Metal runs wild on you?
Yeah, brother. So this album that it was originally on came out in September, about 2 weeks after 9/11, so September 2001. However, you can find this particular song on this little album here called Forcible Entry. And when I would hear this music play, when the entrance music hits, you know you're about to go to the extreme, and you know you're going to probably get a high flying, crazy little match out of it. I can only be talking about one guy. His name, he's basically the whole effing show. He's Mr. Monday Night. He is Rob Van Dam. I'm talking about his entrance music, which was a song called One of a Kind by a band called Breaking Point. And so, yes, it was in the album from Breaking Point came out in 2001 on Wind Up Records. I think they only did like one other album after that, but that song was immortalized thanks to Rob Van Dam and the WWE, and you can find it on this album here called Forcible Entry, which has a lot of other fun songs too.
That is sweet. I don't have that one myself. I do have a couple wrestling CDs in my collection. You know,
this is a good one. It has Lita's theme. It has the wrestler whose name shall not be mentioned. For those who know, if you know, you know. Okay. But the song is still great. And anyway, so whatever. But there you go. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Now, up next, from Tim's Vinyl Confessions, the man that cost me more money than any other man. The amount of things that but I'm so backlogged, Tim. I'm so backlogged. These are still sealed. Like, I just haven't had the time. I know. I don't want to break your heart, but
that was my Robbie Steiner impression.
But thanks for joining me, man. You were there for our second show. It was you, Aaron, and Harrison. And that was after Harrison and I tried this experiment a year ago, we went live the next week, and it was you and Aaron that joined us.
Think I remember that?
I opened up the intro every day.
I opened up that Thin Lizzy box set that right. you guys were giving me shit. Like, no, don't unseal that Thin Lizzy box set. But I freaking did it. What do you got for your number 5?
Well, my favorite Southern rock band, because they're not particularly Southern rock sounding. From this album, 38 Special Tour de Force, 1983.
Let's get a close up on that, baby. Yeah. There we go.
I like it. It's on 8-track. I wouldn't expect.
And it's also got a cool end label on it, which you didn't always see. I'm going to go with the opening track, which was a top 20 single called "If I'd Been the One," which is a great melodic rock. It never gets played anymore. Like, they've got 2 or 3 rock radio staples. I don't know why this one isn't one of them. Great song. But it's funny because this particular album, there's 2 other songs on here I could have gone with. There's One Time for Old Times, and then there's One of the Lonely Ones. But I'm going with If I'd Been the One, 38 Special.
Decent. And that tape looks to be in pretty decent shape too.
Except for this sun damage or water damage or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty smooth. Yeah.
Very nice. And we get to Peter. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I'm looking forward to chatting with you next week.
Yes, that could be a very controversial episode.
It could be. I don't know how I'm going to come off yet. It'll depend.
You'll be fine.
Depend on my mood,
I'll hold your hand, mate. You'll
Thank
be fine.
You.
I'll send you a coffee across the Pacific Ocean. You'll be fine. Oh, there it is.
There it is. It's already here.
You'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. All right. My number 5. Everyone's talking about the Rolling Stones. Yeah. So I'm going to pick one of their songs off probably one of their worst albums, Dirty Work. That's the album where they're all wearing the Miami Vice colorful jackets. Terrible album, but there was actually one decent song that featured the guitar work of one Jimmy Page. And I'm talking about One Hit to the Body.
That's right. That was a good one.
That is a good track. It's a stonker. And it's always nice to hear Jimmy's licks in the middle of, doing a nice little tasty guitar solo in the middle of it. But that's my pick off probably one of the worst Rolling Stones albums.
One thing about what you just said, like, even if you're not familiar with the song or whatever, as soon as you hear Jimmy Page play, it's like there's something about that part there that sounds like Jimmy Page, And it just, anytime you hear Jimmy Page, I think. But yeah, that's a good pick. I guess I have to go next, though. And I haven't put mine in order.
I guess I have to go next.
I haven't put mine in order, so I've been trying to decide what I'm going to lead with. I'm pulling an Aaron. Aaron never puts his stuff in order. So I'm going to start with this one. We're going to go outside the box a little bit. Because you know what? One Love.
Well done. Well
One
done.
Love.
Good song.
Aside, Tim's laughing.
I'm not laughing because of Bob Marley. That's great.
You're laughing because of Jex
It's
Russell.
an inside joke.
It's an inside joke. Last week, Jex Russell, we pulled a prank on him, and he went One Love, everybody, and it just struck us all as funny.
I just thought, did he just say One Love? Yeah.
He did. He just said One Love. Anyway, I love Bob Marley. Like, it makes me, here in Canada, we have a long, cold winter, and when I play Bob Marley in the winter, it warms me up. And, it may be One Love is a little bit of a cliche track to pick. Maybe it's a little bit, I don't know, mainstream these days. But, when I first started listening to Bob Marley, when I started at the record store 30 years ago, it wasn't the kind of thing that I was hearing everywhere. And Bob Marley's Legend was one of our best sellers. And it was great to listen to in the winter. It was like, man, this is a pick me up. This feels bright. This feels sunny. Look, I'm wearing my tie dye. And I got to go with Bob Marley, One Love. I think everybody needs to have a little bit of reggae in their lives. And I'm being perfectly serious. Everybody needs a little bit of reggae. There you go. That's my number 5. And Henry likes Bob Marley. Thank you, Henry. Appreciate it. All right, Harrison, you're taking us into the second round.
All right. I've just realized that 60% of my list is Australian here.
Ooh.
Now, this will be the first of of 3 entries that are Australian. Now, to those who are new, while Rob is our local soundtrack guy, I'm our local contrarian. So this one's a bit off the beaten track. It's by an Australian band called Vaudeville Smash. And the song is called Zinedine Zidane. Now, most of the singing in the song is sports commentator Les Murray basically reading out the names of famous soccer players, like Van Persie and Messi, Pirlo, and many, many others. For the Australians, Tim Cahill and Kuehl. But how this song is about the number 1 is because just before the chorus, he goes, "And the strongest of them all," and then Zinedine Zidane. It's just a real fun song to a soccer player like me. I don't have anything to show for it, so this is a replica of the Women's World Cup from this year I have.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead, Peter. I have nothing to say.
I know Les Murray. But I don't think I've heard that song.
I'm fascinated.
Zinedine Zidane is a French football player.
I know that.
But
Yeah, but
everyone
I
in the
haven't heard the
audience
song.
who is unaware.
I don't even associate you with sports in my mind.
I play soccer socially.
We're gonna have to discuss this more in some Ask Harrison questions going further in the future. And just to answer Henry here, I do have some of the Wailers albums. I think I have 2 deluxes. And yeah, you're right. The original Jamaican mixes are largely stripped down, and then they added a lot of accoutrement for the mixes that we're familiar with in Canada. All right, Rob, number 4.
All right. My number 4 dropped in and out of the list a couple of times, but I sat back and I went, you know what? Kind of makes sense. It's actually from probably one of my favorite Queen albums, and it is One Vision from It's a Kind of Magic. It was oddly enough used in the film Iron Eagle, but it's actually about Bob Geldof and his and the Live Aid kind of the story. And so for me, this is one of my favorite albums because it has a lot of Highlander music on it, of the songs from Highlander. But One Vision, the title track, or not the title track, but the opening track for me is really cool, and it just has this really weird kind of opening, and then it just hits with a what sounds like a string orchestra, and it's da 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 da, and it just goes into it. To me, it's a fantastic song, and it also has the number 1 in it. So One Vision.
That it does. Not to mention the Highlander. The whole concept is there can be only one. Oh no!
Oh,
It's one disaster after another.
Yes.
And you have
a whole bunch of ones on the floor now.
you have Jon Snow's backing on One Vision by Queen. There you go. All right, Johnny Metal.
By the way, sorry, I do have one question for Peter. Stonker? I've never heard that term before.
Oh, it's sort of like an Australian English terminology for it's a stonker of a track. It's a ripper. You heard of ripper?
Well, there we go. That's the first time I've heard the word stonker, and you know what? I'll probably use it on the show tonight.
We could do a whole show about Australian slang.
We should.
Reviews, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, Mike and I were discussing the possibility of an Australia themed show with Peter.
That would be
we
wonderful.
can build it into that.
I would just have to stand aside and let you guys carry it. But I just want to say, hey, to the famous co-captain to Johnny Metal here, the two Johnnies.
John.
So, John, are you going to bring the medal for number 4?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm going to go a completely different direction here. So this one, gosh, I've heard this song since I was maybe first or second grade, when I remember our ABC affiliate out of Philadelphia playing it as bumper music, which ABC was doing that a lot around 77, 78 or so. And this song is just such a catchy, infectious song. I don't think the band ever had a bigger hit other than this one, but from the Waking and Dreaming album that came out in 1976, and I'm sorry, I do not have anything to show for it, but I'm talking about Still the One from Orleans. And I really have to thank my wife, Sabrina, because as I was brainstorming this, she was the one that actually came up with it. And I'm like, duh. Yeah, I've liked that song most of my life. So of course I'm going to include that. So yeah, You're Still the One. We're still having fun. So little Orleans for you.
Awesome. We've bounced from genre to genre, and this is great. This is wonderful.
That song's in my head now, John.
You're welcome.
You're still the one.
You're welcome.
Great album cover, by the way, Waking and Dreaming.
Yeah.
The one where they're all shirtless on the cover. Kind of looks like the first Montrose album. But
Or Jex Russell.
Maybe we should have a sing-along at the end of the show. We could do that. All 6 of us, and just
harmonize.
Oh boy.
Yeah, harmonize.
Well, it'd be crazy. Max the Axe might show up later on to do a Beaches concert review. So if we could get him to sing, that'd be amazing. But Tim, you took us Southern rock last time. Are you gonna bring us to classic rock, mainstream? What are you doing this time?
Well, it's something that should have been mainstream. He was certainly a mainstream guitar player. He put out a fantastic solo album in 1991, and it went nowhere. And I'm talking about Mr. Richie Sambora.
I know what song.
Great ballad on here called "One Light Burning." Should have been a big hit. Not hard rock by any stretch, but just a fantastic song. The guy's a great singer. Really a better singer than John ever was, but I love this album. I think this album is a mood, but I think "One Light Burning" is just such a power. It's a powerful song too.
It is
not quite as powerful as Father Time. That's a pretty powerful ballad, but the "One Light Burning" is a good song, and I wanted to give it some attention.
Man, it's getting a lot of love here from Chris Preston. It is too bad that album tanked. I have that deluxe 2 CD version, which is really nice. It's kind of, slim in terms of bonus features, but it's still nice to have. I know Tim wants that one. But yeah, that album's a lyrically deeper album than the average Bon Jovi one. Sambora was obviously, getting some thoughts off of his chest. It's one of the only albums I've seen that come with actual listening instructions, which is light a candle, turn off the lights, welcome, or something like that, And that's very much what that album is. I've done that. That's a great experience. So a little bit of praise for Stranger in This Town by Richie Sambora in general. One Light Burning was a single, I believe. I think there were 3 singles off that album. Ballad of Youth and the title track were the other 2. One Light Burning was a little bit different. That computer programmed sort of percussion track. Is that what you would call that?
I'm not hearing everything you're saying. You're
okay.
There's crackling going on.
I hear the crackling. I think it's coming on your end. It's usually you. Okay, so I'll stop
Oh,
preaching to you.
we're gonna go there, are we? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I see how this is. All right, I'll meet.
But anyway, that's a great pick. I love it. No. Anyway, Peter,
Grumpy
why
Tim.
don't we distract us from the drama here with your number 4?
All right, I'll do my very best.
Okay.
My next song is a classic song. The lyrics are "One is the loneliest number," and it was written by Harry Nilsson. But the version of this song that I'm going to pick is the Australian legendary pop singer John Farnham, which Harrison may have heard of.
I have indeed heard of him.
Yeah. He had a big hit in the 80s with You're the Voice. But I'm also going to put an honorable mention for Amy Mann, who was in a band called Till Tuesday. Bit of a solo career. And she also did an outstanding version of the song One, which featured in the Paul Thomas Anderson film Magnolia. So it's probably a tie. Tie for my 4th. One, sung by either John Farnham or by Amy Mann. Both different versions of the song, but both outstanding. And that's my number 4 pick.
But is that 1 or 2? Well, I think we'll let Peter off on a technicality.
Oh, come on! Don't be like that. Don't mark me down.
Well,
Come on.
I'm the stickler for detail, but no, we're just here to have fun tonight.
That's all.
That is right. Dawkins covered one on the Erase the Slate album. I was thinking it was Dysfunctional for some reason, but that's a different cover that they did on Dysfunctional. All right, let's get this out of the way. Somebody's going to have to say this song, right? You know the one I'm talking about. The one I'm talking about. We have to. We get it out of the way. It's The One. And this is one of the CDs that I showed off prior to this on Tim's Vinyl Confessions when we did some of our rarest CDs in our collection. I'm missing the Obi strip, which is unfortunate, but dig Jason's glasses. I really dug when Jason was wearing those glasses. He was my favorite guy in the band, honestly, Jason Newsted. We all know the story behind the song. It's based on Johnny Got His Gun. I don't think these guys read the book when they were in high school. I think they just watched the film. But the video was pretty striking. You know, I watched it again recently, and it's still pretty striking. It uses all that black and white footage from the film and dialogue from the film. And if you don't know what the subject matter of the song is, look it up. It's a great tune, and in this case, the idea of one is sort of like the solitude that the main character is finding himself stuck in. And that is my number 4. Now that it's out of the way, I wonder if anybody else has it on their lists. And we have also comments here about Amy Mann. Don't forget her vocals on Time Stand Still by Rush. We need to get that Canadian content in. And she was in The Big Lebowski too, if I'm not mistaken, right, Rob? Or I got her confused with somebody else.
Possibly. I'd have to watch the Big Lebowski.
I thought she was the girlfriend of the nihilists.
Oh yes, I think you're right on that.
So there you go.
I'll check it out.
Just realize this is on 2 channels. It could be on everybody's channel if they click the right buttons.
Mm-hmm.
One of the only Rush songs. What? I'm learning something about Chris tonight. My goodness.
That was the only Rush song I've ever heard on Australian radio ever.
Well, that's interesting to know. It's a good song.
Time Stand Still.
Even
Other
if
than
you're a
that,
Rush
nothing.
hater. Wow.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Well, I know Harrison's not a Rush fan. Sometimes he refers to Geddy Lee as like that guy who plays bass in Rush.
It was the Rush singer.
The Rush singer.
And Mike went ballistic on Facebook when that happened.
Yeah, I did, for good reason. Hey, Ernesto, how are you doing? Good to see you tonight. And we... Yes, I'm afraid so, Chris. You're kicked out. We have Harrison with his now number 3.
All right, this is the only song left on my list not by an Australian band. It is from Fleetwood Mac's Tusk album. I don't have Tusk, so you'll just have to look at the live album. And it's What Makes You Think You're the One. It's not as heavy or intense as some of the more metal picks we've been hearing, but it's gentle, a little gentler. It's still upbeat and up-tempo, and it's fun. The chorus hook is literally just What Makes You Think You're the One, obviously sung a lot better by... what's his name, Buckingham. But on an album with lots of mediocre moments, it's one of the standouts.
Hey,
Excellent. Excellent. I'm not the Fleetwood Mac expert that you are, so I'll just take your word for it.
I'm not the Fleetwood Mac expert that I am either.
Oh. Man, these comments are rolling in so fast. What Guns N' Roses song are they talking about here? I'm trying to think here. Anybody? I'm drawing a blank.
I feel like there's something on Lies, but I
1 in a million.
Oh!
yeah.
Yeah, no.
It hit me just then. 1 in a million.
Hey, that's a good comment right there. Stevie Nicks, check her out her solo albums. Absolutely. Robert, you're
Okay.
number 3.
Well, it should come as no surprise that the next one is from a soundtrack, it's a song that appears at the end of the film. So, does it count? I think it does.
It counts.
So, when I first heard, I had never heard of White Zombie before this film, and so when I heard this song at the end of the credits, I said, "Who is this, and where can I get it?" So this is The One by White Zombie, also known Rob Zombie, from the Escape from L.A. song compilation. I think it's a great song. Appears at the end of the film, has some great lyrics. I thought it was cool. So that's my number 3, The One.
Excellent. I haven't seen that film. I've only seen New York.
It's a fun kind of more Kurt Russell parodying himself from the first film. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Excellent.
Not the best, especially the surfing scene, but I'll leave that to everybody who wants to watch it.
Excellent.
Escape from LA.
Hey, Harrison, you want to answer Henry's question real quick?
Yes, I did see that. I was going to save it for my next round, but I do indeed have the very good 3 CD expanded version of Fleetwood Mac Live. In fact, it's only on the expanded version that you can get the live version of What Makes You Think You're the One. It's not on the original album. And you also get, while I'm talking about it, you get a rare performance of the Green Man Alishi and what's the other one? Oh Well, with Buckingham singing.
Oh, well, that's something. I used to own Shania Twain's Greatest Hits. That's all I'm going to say. Don't have it anymore, but I used to have it. Oh, and Metal Connection used to have that soundtrack. May need to revisit. And these guys are having their own conversation. And Gimli has his say as well.
Yes, he does.
Gimli the cat, please meet Johnny Metal. Johnny Metal, you are up next.
Okay.
Who did we just lose?
We
just
Tim.
lost him.
Oh,
All right. Well,
I think he's rejoining.
Yes.
He mentioned that he was having some technical issues on his end.
Yes, there's a
All
chat
right,
going
well,
on the side.
I think my third choice here will be Solid as a Rock with the Swords in the Air. Let's talk a little bit about Raven here with their song All for One. I mean, just come on. Just new album insanity with John Gallagher's just ridiculous vocals. Mark and Wacko just going nuts on the song. I mean, come on. Absolutely banger of a song. It was wonderful to hear live. It's Raven, for crying out loud. Solid as a Rock with the Swords in the Air.
Nice. Okay, hopefully Tim can come back, but we'll just skip to Peter in the meantime.
Right. Well, I had to change my next pick because I did pick one Metallica. So I've had to take it off this one, put it off from the bench. I'm going to pick Iggy Pop with Wild One. So this
Good.
is a version
that's a
of
good
an old rocker song that was done by Australian Johnny O'Keefe. But I like Iggy's pop-tastic, synthy new wave take on it. It's got the Iggy Pop style all over it. So Iggy Pop with Wild One off the Blah 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 album. Check it out. Good album.
Good song, absolutely. And Johnny Metal's getting lots of praise for his Raven. So just to catch Tim up, we had Raven and just now Iggy Pop. And since you and Peter have switched places, you get to go next.
Great choice, Harrison, with What Makes You Think You're the One. That's a fantastic song. Really, really good. The Rumors Live CD is really good too.
I haven't been able to pick that one up yet, but I might see about that.
Oh no! Oh no! We're just having no luck with Tim's connection tonight.
Mike, your turn.
Should I? Or I feel like we should give him another minute. There we go. Yeah, he's back. Well,
Or not.
there we go. There we
Mike,
go.
why are you doing me like this? Don't do me like that.
Don't do me like that.
Don't do me like that.
And oh boy, John the Music Nut.
Oh wow.
Man, he's got
Also
some good
covered by
picks.
John.
John
Great
Norman.
choice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Well, before I get booted off again, Chris, Preston, and Harrison, you're gonna love this one. One victory from Paper Trails. Starts off with a thunderous drum intro. This was their comeback album. Didn't know if there would ever be another Rush album after Neil Peart had his tragedy. This was the first song anyone heard, and it was them announcing we're back. So yeah, one little victory from Vapor Trails.
Tim, what is your preferred listening experience? Vapor Trails or Vapor Trails Remix?
I like having both to compare, but you definitely hear a lot more parts on the remixed version.
I will tell you that I love Vapor Trails very much, and I think my preferred listening experience is the original mix, but I have to listen to it in breaks, like a side one and a side two with an ear break in between, because it is a wall of sound.
It's dense. It's very dense. I can listen to the remixed in one go.
Right. We're on the same page there. All right.
Run screaming from the my whole life. Yeah.
I was gonna do a different one next, but I'm worried we're gonna lose Tim. No, you know what? Let's have faith that we're gonna still keep Tim for another round.
Me. You got your voices were all sounding sped up. By the way, it was the weirdest thing.
I think
talking away and it would sound like this. Like it was just so weird.
I think that's your internet was trying to catch up with the stream. You know what I mean? So it was like
your internet was trying to catch up.
Anyway.
Yeah, what I was talking about with that happening with Max the Axe, when we interviewed them, they all joined on this one screen, and they first came in and their voices were all chipmunky, and me and Mike were just
terrible.
Why don't we speed up and confuse Tim?
Okay, so this next one I'm going to pick is my number 3. We're going to go with a. It's not my favorite album in the world. It's not my favorite.
There's only
song.
one of those.
That's true. Well, okay, so let me just be less specific. This isn't like one of my favorite albums, even by this band. It wouldn't even make my top 5 for this band. I, in fact, did a ranking for this band last Christmas, and Savatage, Dead Winter Dead. Look, I haven't even opened it. This is the new edition with new acoustic bonus tracks. I already have the first CD edition.
Shiny.
But One Child was a fairly big single for this band. It's an anti-war song. And a pretty powerful anti-war song. This is about the conflict in Sarajevo in 1990. And it's a good concept album, but of the 4 concept albums that Savatage have, it's actually my least favorite. But it is also the album that launched Trans-Siberian Orchestra, so it needs to be recognized. Okay. We're also heading into the season. This is a Christmas-themed album as well. Savatage, One Child. Definitely a good song, but it wouldn't make my personal Savatage top 10, which, by the way, is this Christmas's project that I'm doing with the 80s Metal Man. We're doing a Savatage song ranking next. One Child, got to represent some Savatage. And get caught up on the comments here. Who's the One? That's a good one from By Winger. One Way Ticket by the Darkness would be a good pick. Under One Condition by Winger. Yes. And I have not seen TSO, but I understand. I know Joel Hoekstra has played with various versions of TSO. Love that guy.
Not the Toronto Symphony Orchestra, I take it.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They do those Christmas albums that are it's the weirdest thing. I mean, I worked at the record store, right? And these
oh yeah,
I'm gonna call them little old ladies would come in and ask for Trans-Siberian. Yeah. And I'd be like, man, I remember listening to Savatage in my bedroom and my mom telling me to turn it down. And now it's like my mom's curling friends are coming in and buying basically Savatage albums. It's crazy. All right, Harrison, take us into the top 2, my friend.
All right, it's time for a couple of hard-hitting Australian rock songs now. The first one is by a band called The Angels. and the song is called "I Ain't the One." It's not the heaviest song, but it's still a great up-tempo rocker, and they've got a lot of those. Now, this is actually a recently released 2023 Greatest Hits, which comes with a nice bonus live CD with some live tracks from 1979.
Wow.
And the funny part about this is that this live version of Am I Ever Gonna See Your Face Again is from before the traditional expletive-laden crowd chant was basically founded. So you don't actually hear anything between lines in the chorus, which is interesting to hear. And yes, as my music corner is pointing out, they had to go by the name Angel City in the US because I believe there was already a band called The Angels.
I
And
prefer
something
the
Angel.
Angels.
Yeah, there was Angel with Break the
Angels,
Freya.
right.
But something also, like I seem to remember reading a name in a magazine, The Angels from Angel City.
Yeah, that was another
Really?
how they did that. I think that was on the Beyond Salvation album.
I listened to an Irish band called the Sultans of Ping FC. Later changed their name to the Sultans of Ping. Later changed it to the Sultans.
And
Hard to keep
then-
track.
That
Then
song, so
Sultan.
the song that has the used to hearing the crowd fill in, is that kind of like a Moni Moni thing where it just developed? People just started chanting in between the spaces.
I
Not
think
comparing the music
Peter
to
will
it,
have to
right?
confirm the story because he's probably been around a bit longer than I have. But I'm pretty sure at one point, yeah, the crowd just started chanting these words back, and then it just sort of got picked up. And it's an Australian tradition, basically, to yell expletives at the top of your lungs during the chorus.
Isn't that a
Well-
normal thing for Australians? No, sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, being
No offense.
being-
to-
We'll take any excuse to do that.
Hmm.
Anyway.
I'm just going to grab my walking cane.
Yeah. There goes our Australian show. Anyway, Rob. Oh wait, we have comments. There we go. It's just
I
been
didn't call
said.
him old. I
It's
called him
just-
older.
It's just been said, and
Like a fine wine, folks. Vintage.
Yes.
Like a fine wine.
Chris has hit upon a really good pick here. That's a powerful song. He's right, and Chris has always been a booster for good old Canadian rock. Lee Aaron, not old vintage. Rob, go ahead.
when I first heard this song back in 1991, I was in college, and I didn't like it. I really didn't like it, and I was like, "What's going on here? What's going on?" So years and years later, I hear Johnny Cash do a version of it, and I went, "Okay, let's go back and examine the first one." And it seems that 20 years and getting married and doing all of these things had kind of changed my perspective on this song. And I'm talking about Achtung Baby 1 by U2. And listening to it now, I'm like, yeah, this hits a little harder than it used to. So when I was in college, it did, but now it's like, yeah. So yeah, 1 from U2.
Now, is U2 your go-to version, or is Cash?
Yeah, I find Johnny Cash's is kind of, is it getting better, or is it just the same? It just doesn't sound. I mean, I realize that's his voice, but it just doesn't work. It's not. It doesn't have the emotional resonance that Bono seems to have. I don't know.
Fair.
But yeah.
Okay.
And
fair.
no offense to Johnny Cash, he did a fantastic job on The Wanderer off of U2's Zooropa album, and I'm just I'm a huge fan. But 1 just didn't work for his vocal range. I just thought it was it didn't sound right. I prefer the original from Bono or U2.
I feel like, according to our audience here, we can't go wrong. We can't do anything wrong. Nobody's throwing tomatoes.
Is that
at
a
us, right?
challenge?
I'm kind of like I I feel like somebody needs to upset the apple cart a little bit here because
I already
it's just.
did. I've had Rush on here. That nobody.
But they're wrong though, Tim. They're wrong. Like there's no way that anybody can take Chris's side on that. He's just wrong.
Yeah, but one of our own.
A traitor in our midst.
Oh, goodness.
There's the tomatoes from Ernesto.
Oh, goodness. There we go. All right, I'm happy. That's enough tomatoes. All right. All right, Peter. Well, let's turn this sucker around.
All right.
Peter.
How about me?
Oh, John. Yes. Sorry. I'm jumping.
I got confused.
I thought about upsetting the apple cart by picking Chris Cornell's version of One as sung to Metallica's lyrics over the U2 song.
Ooh.
It's actually not as bad as you think. But anyway,
it's
I'm not
really
going to talk about
it.
It is very interesting. I will give it that. But I was thinking maybe there would be a bridge of the Henry Nielsen One song, but just to really throw it off there. But no,
is that on the?
I think it's just something he did in concert.
Okay.
I don't know if he ever did an actual version of it. This is something he did in concert.
Okay.
But no, my next pick, Mike mentioned it earlier. I talked about the Savage Seven, so I'm going to show off the Crimson Idol and the song called "I Am One," which basically is a song on the album that goes into basically he's going all over the country, and he's starting to realize, I got nothing to prove, I got nothing to lose, I am one. He's just going for it at this point. So that's my next pick. I had to pick. Oh geez, I had to pick a Wasp song to put in this one. So there you go. I Am One from Crimson Idol.
So funny enough, John, I messaged the guys earlier today and I said, if John doesn't pick I Am One by Wasp, I will be shocked. So I'm glad that you did it. Congratulations on getting that amazing box set. I see a lot of people opening up their box sets. They are loving it. And we got a lot of people here loving Wasp. And
yep, my co-captain especially.
Helix, did they open for Wasp? I believe they did, didn't they?
They did.
They did. Yeah. Well, they were on the same label. So there you go. There you go, Brent. That's your former tour mate, Blackie Lawless from Wasp at number 2. And that's a concept album, if the folks aren't familiar with the Crimson Idol, about rock stardom. And it was basically Blackie saying to his audience, hey, listen, I get people coming up to me every day saying, how do I become a rock star like you? And he would say, listen, it's not all peaches and cream. It's not what you think. And he got to the point where he said, you know what? Maybe I should write an album about this so that I don't have to keep telling people the same story. They can just listen to this album. And that's what it's about. It's basically about a fictionalized version of people and places and things that Blackie saw and wrote about. And it's a brilliant album. And everybody seems, oh, that's cool. My sister was afraid of them in the 80s too, and it had a lot to do with the drinking the blood out of the skull. And there's another good one. All right, now we go to Peter.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to pick a Prince song off the Purple Rain album, and the song I'm going to pick is "The Beautiful Ones." So this in the movie, if you've seen the movie Purple Rain, this is where Prince is on stage going aggro and singing kind of a revenge song at Apollonia, because Apollonia is the girl. He's in a bit of a love triangle because Apollonia is going to be stolen by Morris Day and the Time, and he's pointing at her and he's doing all these guitar pyrotechnics and he's basically singing directly to her, the beautiful ones. So it's one of those emotional scenes in the movie. It's a movie that I just keep on watching again and again. It's not a great movie, but it's an emotional one. And I think Prince was at his stone cold peak with the Revolution, with Purple Rain. I think it's probably a perfect album, 10 out of 10. Probably in my top 10 albums of all time, Michael. The Beautiful Ones by Prince off Purple Rain.
I'm kind of thinking maybe I should add some Prince to my collection after that testimony. Wow. I don't have any Prince, so Would you
Well,
recommend that or a greatest hits?
Really?
No. Purple
don't-
Rain is the starting point.
Okay.
And watch the film. It's very much of its time, the 80s, but I just can't stop watching it. It's just maybe it's a guilty pleasure or something, but Prince on stage is, you just couldn't touch him. It's just
When you
brilliant.
said on stage going aggro, it made me think of the scene in The Wall when Pink is on stage with the megaphone. And
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure Johnny sees this comment here from Brent. That's pretty cool.
That is very cool, dude. Very, very cool.
We have great choice, Peter. Prince, nice Peter. Awesome to Brent. Deluxe box set of Diamonds and Pearls came up this month. Oh my God, more deluxe box sets. I'm broke. Then we got some more kudos for John. And this is funny because I was just watching this just before we went live today. I was just watching this myself because I was in a WASP kind of mood. And yeah, that's a legendary interview. It's on my YouTube channel. I think it's my most popular video. Okay, Tim, your number 2.
Okay, well, the voice has been going pretty good, so this is the time when it'll start to screw up because I'm talking. I didn't plan it this way, but it's 3/5 Canadian, so I'm keeping it Canadian. A well-loved Canadian band in the 70s and 80s. They broke a little bit in the States, turn of the 80s, a little bit in the UK. This is a song that should have been a much bigger song. I've always been a big fan of it. April Wine, this could be the right one. Extremely dated sounding production. Very much of its time. Yeah, John knows we sat in on Grant's Rock Warehouse and did an epic series on April Wine. So this is from the album Animal Grace, which has the exact same cover. But the video is very, very, very of its time, very dated, kind of sci-fi on a lower budget, but a great, if you can listen through the production, it's a great melodic rock song. So that's my next choice.
If there wasn't going to be an April Wine mention here, I might have been very surprised.
Just so you all know, we've been invited for beer over at Brent Durner's place. So anybody who can make it to Ontario, we'll take my car. I'll drive. I don't drink. And we'll all hang out with Brent. I haven't seen him in years, so that'd be cool. And
I always
Henry
forget
loves
who that is. Hello, Brent. Big fan here.
That's
Brent.
Well, yeah. Just so you know, Red D is Brent Durner's video editing company. He does a lot of music videos. I shouldn't say video editing. He does filming and everything. He does a lot of music videos. Check out his YouTube channel. He used to be in Helix, and he is an awesome frick, man. I mean, I grew up on Helix. I grew up on his songs. I grew up on his guitar playing. And, Tim and I have done 2 episodes with Grant's Rock Warehouse on some of the albums that Brent was on. And I get a little mushy when I start talking about Helix. The doctor is in the house, and Jon Snow will be right up. This is another CD that I showed off on Tim's Vinyl Confessions, but a different episode. We did the complete Journey discography, and we both have a soft spot for this album.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know the song you're going to pick.
Yeah. This is the Japanese import with the bonus track. But I just listened to it again today, and, they talk about fine wine. And there's no denying that Steve Perry was at peak voice in a certain period from the 70s to the 80s. But, man, something about when his voice aged a little bit, got a little bit more leathery on this album. A little bit more husky. And I think for the husky Steve Perry, none of the songs are better than One More. One More, Cry in the Night. Oh, God, I love this album. I love that song. It's one of the heaviest songs on the album, which isn't a very heavy album. But it tanked. Neil Sean was quoted as saying the reason it tanked was because they couldn't tour for it because Steve Perry didn't want to or wasn't capable of touring for it health-wise, whatever the case may be. This lineup imploded shortly thereafter, and they got Steve O'Jerry on lead vocals. But to me, as much as I love last year's Freedom, and Tim knows that I like that album quite a lot, this is it, man. This is the last truly brilliant album that Journey made. Cover art there is by, oh God, what's his face? You know, that guy. Anyway,
Johannes?
That guy.
That guy.
that guy, you know. Anyway.
Buddy. Buddy that did the
Yeah, that guy. Always wears a shirt.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Anyway, I love that cover art too.
With the face, you know?
The face, yes.
Buddy with the face. And
Produced by Kevin Shirley. There you go. That's my number 2.
Oh, that
Journey.
guy.
Sounds good. Sounds good in spite of that fact.
It sounds good. Hey, anyway, one more by Journey from, I'm going to just go out and say it, their most underrated album. This is a top 5 Journey album for me. Trial by Fire, one more. There you go. Suck it, haters. And let's get the comments up. Everybody's saying hi to Brent. Love your work, Brent. Don't we all? Absolutely. That's a great one from Journey. Says, Henry, thank you so much. Oh, but Chris is torn on it. He has trouble with, I admit there's a lot of ballads. I'll give you that. And yeah, Neil Sean played in Santana. And as Tim would be happy to tell you, they did a few Santana songs on the recent Journey Through Time, Neil Sean with Greg Raleigh. Brilliant 3 CD set, Brent. If you're ever looking for something live, check out the Neil Sean Journey Through Time that just came out this year. This is it. This is
a Helix song with 1 in the title in honor of being. Can't seem to find one.
Can't seem to find one.
No.
Anyway, Harrison, you are going to take us into our last round. You're number 1. You're number one.
An Australian song. Now, I'm going to hold up the album cover first. The song is by Baby Animals, and the reason I'm holding up the album first is because this album actually has 2 songs with the word one in the title. Now, if my father was here, he'd pick the song One Word, but I'm going to pick the song One Too Many. Now, it's a pretty good rock song, one of the more rocking songs on the album, but my favorite part of it is it ends, basically, there's like a second of silence, and then there's this thunderous drum and guitar workout for like a minute that just like flattens you. It's my favorite part of the song. I always wait till the end and then just like, yeah, love the song and love that part in particular.
Awesome. Thank you, Harrison. Peter, did you have a comment on that? Or
I saw them in the day, the great band. Lead singer Susie DiMarchi. She's probably Australia's answer to Pat Benatar. She's in that sort of mode. And she was married to what's Nuno from Extreme.
Is she a guitar player too? I've seen her holding a guitar. I'm assuming that she can play.
Oh, she holds it. She strums it.
I
don't know whether she
doesn't
plays,
necessarily rip any solos or anything like that.
Could be like a prop.
Well, she's better than
none of the live footage I've seen of her features are actually playing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Nuno may have taught her a few licks. I don't know. Maybe. That was a good number 1. That was not intentional. That was not intentional. I realized it after I said it, Dr. Freud.
Nuno, if you're listening, you just put your comments down and we'll read them out later.
I knew at one point tonight it was going to go off the rails, and I knew it was going to be me.
You haven't heard my pick yet.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Why is he muted now?
I don't know. Maybe
I was just going to make a wisecrack about Mike being good at taking things off the rails because he took the entire LeBrain train off the rails when we put it into
He's
mothballs.
lost his audio, so
Boom, boom.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Emily's going to sub in for.
He has left.
All right.
It's
Come here,
LeBrainless now.
Welcome to a
So-
There, buddy.
rock.
You're on. Come on. Come
Yeah,
on.
we can all host the show simultaneously and just talk over each other. Maybe.
Okay.
What do you think?
All right. Well, I do believe it's Rob's turn now.
Yes, it is actually.
Oh,
So when I was doing this list, I thought I'd be clever. Number 5 would have 5 words in it, and one would be in one of the words, and then number 4 would have 4 words, and one would be one. But it didn't end up working like that. So it ended up, it's kind of working out like that. One More Day had 3 words, and there's a couple of other ones that, well, anyway, one has 1, and then another one that I have has 1. In any case, I have some honorable mentions, and Mike's back. I have some
can you hear
quick
me?
honorable mentions. We had mention of Harry Nilsson's One Is the Loneliest Number, or One. And my favorite is actually from a group called Filter, off of the X-Files Fight the Future song compilation. Then another one of my honorable mentions is actually from not the best movie, but the Highlander 2 soundtrack. And this one is One Dream by the Lou Gramm Band. And then going back to my 90s kick, this was 92. So I was a huge fan of Ministry, and there's a song off of Psalm 69, which is Just One Fix. And it's just an absolutely rockin' tune. I love Ministry of this era. And then finally, my last of the honorable mentions is a song from Silent Hill Homecoming, the video game, and it's called One More Soul to the Call. And that's my honorable mentions. Now, I'm going to be really boring here and very predictable and just going to show this and say nothing else.
I can't remember anything.
Can't tell if
that's that
this is
famous
true or a
Tom
dream.
How many tracks on yours, Rob?
This is 3 tracks.
Gotcha.
This has got 1 and 2 live tracks, For Whom the Bell Tolls and Welcome Home Sanitarium.
Mine has that plus Bread Fan plus a 4-track demo of 1.
Yeah, this was a single I found in Encore Records.
Nice.
Way back. And I was like, wow, okay. So I don't have to go out and get the whole album. I can get this and get the song.
Yep.
Yeah.
Either one of those singles is a great find. And Jex, I got to tell you, buddy, you got to go back to the beginning of the show and see what T-Bone did. And that's all I'm going to say. And hello to Kevin. Karma to Burn 1 is the greatest one that was probably not mentioned. You were right. That was not mentioned. So thanks for bringing that one up. I'm going to have to check it out. A couple of my buddies listen to Karma to Burn.
Dinner time.
Okay, so while Gimli is being fed, Johnny Metal.
All right. Well, since Rob listed a few honorable mentions, I don't know if we were going to do those that quick, but I'll go with a few of those myself. I also mentioned One Foot Out the Door by Van Halen. Lovely 2-minute track there. One Last Soul from the Black Country Communion.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to go back to the Black Country for that one. That's a great one. I'm kind of surprised. Well, we still got a couple picks yet, but who doesn't like a little One of These Nights from the Eagles? That would be a good one. Let's again, the plural one kind of throws me off with this one, but Lucky Ones with some Loverboy. So there you go. How about The Fix with One Thing Leads to Another? I thought, got to throw that in there. And for the 80s Kiss fans, 1,000,000 to 1. Had to throw that one in there as well. So I probably just stole Peter's choice there. But anyway, sorry. So my number one choice is probably going to be something that nobody's heard of. It comes off this album, which you can't really see the title of, but it's a band called Becoming the Archetype. With their album Terminate Damnation. This came out on Solid State Records about 2005. Georgia-based band. These guys are like metalcore, thrash, proggy. Some people kind of compared them a little bit of almost Opeth style. But they have a song on this that is just absolutely brutal called One Man Parade. That just has some amazing breakdowns, very deep guttural vocal. These guys played around in this area here in Birmingham, Alabama, quite a bit, and so I actually know those guys pretty well. In fact, one really super cool thing, you can't really see it on this, but somewhere on there it says Possum and Johnny Metal and everyone at the Schma. Yes, I am that same Johnny Metal. So that is a very cool thing for me to say I'm in a special thanks on an album. But anyway, there's a breakdown in this song where it basically goes, I want to get the vocal right here because it's been a while since I've done it. It's life or death now, make your choice. And it basically just kind of does this, but it goes over this really heavy groove where the audience just goes ballistic into the hardcore breakdowns that could kill somebody if you're not careful enough. But anyway, I remember jumping on stage and singing that with Jason a time or two, and that was an awesome time. All good guys, love them to death. So One Man Parade from the Terminate Damnation album, Becoming the Archetype, just buzzsaw guitars, just tight as can be. Great track, great album.
And you've gone extreme sort of for your number one. That's cool.
Yes.
So catching up at the comments here, Brent logged in as My Wicked Twin, which is his solo band with his, well, not solo, it's with his brother, Brian. Lyrics aren't everything as a listener. And when I interviewed Brent back in 2000 and I'm going to say early 2007, it was January, I interviewed Brent, and he told me, lyrics are the most important thing to him as a songwriter. He wants to have a unique lyrical idea, and that sort of folds into coming up with unique music to follow. Great ones. John, Only One Way to Rock was mentioned already. If you go back to the beginning, T-Bone had a list of his top 5 Van Halen songs in chronological order about the number one. And that's where that one came in from the live album Right Here, Right Now. Brent has played in Birmingham, Alabama. And, John the Music Nut with a late show winner. Dio, One Night in the City. Nice one. Nice one. Whew. Man, things are getting good, Peter. What do you got to finish it off?
Oh, well. Ooh. Okay. Strap in, folks. I'll do some honorable mentions. So Kiss Million to One featuring that musical genius, Vinnie Vincent. Repeating, musical genius, Vinnie Vincent.
Boy, look at the time.
Anybody who knows about the Vinnie Vincent show that I know, Peter and Reed, knows how that one turned out. So
Yeah.
hey, it was your show, man, and I won fair and square on your turf.
Yeah, but you paid off Reed Little. He told me you did an electronic funds transfer.
It was all in
into his bank
Bitcoin.
account.
It's completely
It was
untraceable.
completely
Bitcoin.
rigged on my own show, and Reed Little goes, and the winner is Mike LeBron. In defense of Vinnie Vincent. Anyway, watch the show. It's a lot of fun. Honorable mention to Blondie, One Way or Another. I love Blondie. Got to just put a little bit of Blondie. But look, a good song, folks, is a good song. All genres. Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby One More Time. That is my number one pick. I think it's a great song.
Yeah. Okay.
Peter is just determined to bring artists onto the show that have never been on this show before.
Sorry, this was my last appearance on the Grab a Stack of Rock.
A
Well,
bold
look-
choice, Peter.
It's a great song.
And this is true. Brent has toured with Vinny. They opened for
That's
Kiss on
right.
the Lick It Up tour. And if I remember correctly, when I interviewed Brent back in 2007, he told me a story that Gene Simmons was running around with like a big pot and saying he was going to cook Brent in his cooking pot. And here's one. That's a good one from John the Music Nut. I think Brent should write a book, honestly, is what I think. No One Like You by the Scorpions. For No One by the Beatles. I'm trying to remember that one. T for One by Zeppelin. One World by Dire Straits. The Lucky Ones by Pride Tiger. Yeah, Brent, you need to write a book, my friend. Man, so many great picks coming up in the comments.
Helix were the first band to open for Kiss after they unmasked. That's
That's right.
pretty important part. And I thought of a song. Sort of. The closest
Helix?
thing I could think of for a Helix song. There's a one in the title, Running Wild in the 21st Century. There's a one in it.
That song.
21st. Okay. Technically.
Well, there's only one
Is it
21st
not a
century.
1, 2, 1, there's a one, Mike. Work with me here.
Okay. I'll let you have it.
All right, fine.
Good to know. I've always liked the Scorpions. No One Like You. Yeah. Okay. We read that one. And here's one. Mike Vargo. You're the one that I want from Greece. Something totally metal. Yes. Sorry. One other thing I want to say is, yes, Peter, Blondie. Yes, that song's been stuck in my head all day. So thank you for picking Blondie in your runners up. Okay, so I think we got through all the comments. Tim Durling, your number one.
I've just got a couple of honorable mentions. Yes, Going for the One. Love that. So love that album. I got to go with my guys, Y&T. Very last song on Face Melter, unless you get the bonus version, One Life. Great song. But I'm so glad our good buddy Jex Russell is here. I've been waiting.
One love.
Sometimes one love. Sometimes the universe just throws you something. From Jex's favorite album, The Big Prize. I'm going to double down. Last song on side one, One by One.
So if anybody watched
the song, I would have picked it anyway, but it just works.
So if anybody watched last week, T-Bone did a prank on Jex where it was Ray Coburn from Honeymoon Suite bitching on Jex for not liking the keyboards on the Big Prize album, which goes back to an episode of Distortion Den with Deke, where they put that album head to head against what was it, Racing After Midnight, or I can't remember what.
A different band.
It was a different band.
Jex, what can I say? He was wrong in his assessment.
I disagree. I believe Jex was right in his assessment, but
Mike is wrong too.
That's a whole other show.
Wrong.
It's a whole other show.
There's
so
keyboards on it.
Your keyboard does have.
Anyway, One by One. That's my last choice.
Okay. Super pop, Mike. We have for my number one. Guess what? It's a song called Number One. And it's by a band that I've saved for last for a good reason, because Harrison likes to say anytime I talk about this band, it's like instant death for yeah, you know exactly what band I'm talking about, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
So from Marillion's Anarachnophobia album, it's the song Number One, only available on this super deluxe pre-order only edition of the album. This was their 2001 studio album. Number One is on the bonus disc that you can only get, well, you can't get anymore. You could only get by pre-ordering this album. And just like Johnny Metal, somewhere in here is thank you to me. There's a lot of thank yous, but I'm thanked somewhere in this album as one of the guys that pre-ordered it. This was the very first time I ever had my name printed in an album. So that was kind of cool to me. I hate that they kind of did the spine wrong, though, and I know that's a thing that Tim can sympathize with. But the song Number One itself was kind of inspired by Mariah Carey, and I'll read you some of the lyrics here. Oh, crap, I just got an ad here. One moment. One moment. The lyrics are kind of inspired by Mariah Carey, and I don't know if there's any bitterness here, but you know, Marillion were kind of trying for hits at this point in their career. You sound truly heartbroken. You can do it. You're a pro. Agony from every pore in such control. The orchestra swoops and the drum samples roll. You hold the high scream into the key change for the outro. It's another Number One, and that's exactly where you're coming from. Can you play me a song for the deliberate loser? I don't know. I don't know if there's bitterness there or not. But they have said the song's inspired by Mariah Carey and sort of like a tongue in, you know, put their tongue in their cheek when they said that. But that is a direct quote from the band. That's my Number One by Marillion. And that was a brilliant set of lists, guys. Thank you so much.
That was awesome.
I don't know if anybody else has any more runners up to mention. Then let's just quickly go around and talk about what each of us has going on in our music world. Harrison, you can be found on Instagram at Harrison_1339. I keep getting the numbers wrong. 1339 on Instagram. Harrison does all of our Lego art here, and he does a brilliant job of it. He's done, in my opinion, a very accurate Tim Durling for when Tim's hair is a little bit more out of control. But he's got him wearing a T-shirt that looks like the Def Leppard Hysteria logo underneath. And it's a brilliant figure. He's done a Rob. He's done a me. I think he's probably going to have to do a Peter and a Johnny Metal at some point. But I don't know. Anything you want to talk about on your amazing Instagram?
There'll be something Loverboy related soon.
Really? That's interesting. Okay.
Oh, turn me loose.
And Rob, of course, you've got Visions and Sound in just a few hours.
Yeah, in
4
just
hours
a
roughly.
few hours, I'll be celebrating the 45th anniversary of the night of John Carpenter's Halloween,
Can't believe.
and then it'll be into November next week, and I'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Enter the Dragon, the Bruce Lee film. So, but tonight is the 45th anniversary of Halloween on my Creeps, Creatures, and Things That Go Bump in the Night show.
Excellent. So check them out, visionsandsound.ca, as it says on your screen.
Yeah, 98.5 CKWR if you are in town, ckwr.com if you want to listen online, and later on you can catch it on my website, visionsandsound.ca.
Thank you, Rob. And Johnny Metal, you can find him at My Music Corner on YouTube. Again, awesome Wasp unboxing yesterday. What do you got going on? I know you got more Armored Saint coming, right?
We got a couple more things that we're going to do for Armored Saint. And then we've got John the Music Nut and I have got a list of bands that we are going to do. We're going to do the same kind of thing with. I'm not going to give any of them away, but we've got some good stuff coming up the rest of this year, and then we're going to kick off 2024 with a doozy. So that's going to be fun. I want to give a shout out to my North and South Rock and Metal Connection guys, because I need to get that band back together, because John has been in with those guys, and Mike has been with one of the guys, so that's been a lot of fun. So you can always find me on Peter's channel in some way, shape, or form. That's probably been the most you can see me pretty much right now. So, and I'm glad to finally make an appearance on Grab a Stack here. So thank you.
And also, follow this guy on Instagram if you're a foodie, because he goes to a place every weekend called the Anvil Pub, and his food pictures make me salivate. And I'm hoping at some point this winter we can kind of do a foodie-oriented show where we're going to do like our top 10 food dishes, something like that. It'll be completely unmetal, completely unrock. It'll have nothing to do with that, but we're going to do it anyway, because who the hell cares?
And I just want to say real quick, Kevin Gartland, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Awesome comments tonight, Kevin. I'm gonna have to check out Karma to Burn myself. He's been mentioning them tonight. And Peter, you and I have shenanigans coming up at some point next week, but we can't talk exactly about.
Yeah. So on Rock Daydream Nation, I'm going to do a show with the main man, Mike, on Bon Jovi. So watch this space. But I dropped a show this morning or tonight, wherever you are in the world, did a focus on Aerosmith Pump versus Permanent Vacation in a Ding Dong album battle. So I did that show with Joe B, and that was a lot of fun. Also a show with John the Music Nut I recorded last week, and the premise of the show is, so you sound like Sting and you sound like Robert Plant, and you're a superstar. So it's bands that sound like Robert Plant and Sting, and that was a lot of fun. And I also did a show with Todd Evans about missing persons. So a lot of stuff coming out on Rock Daydream Nation. Check it out. But the Aerosmith show, that's the one that just dropped this morning. Check that out.
And I'll just take that opportunity to show you that 6 CD greatest hits Aerosmith. That's the one. Lots of tracks from those albums on here.
Great.
In multiple versions. Exhausting. Tim, what I know you and I have business coming up.
We do, and as do Peter and I. And I can't talk about it right now, but I am working on something. Peter's part of it. Mike's part of it. Jax is going to be part of it. And as soon as I can talk about it, I will. I'm not being vague on purpose, but I'm very excited about it. I've got my show on Saturday and a show on Monday. Coming up tomorrow morning, Jex makes an appearance, as well as my old buddy John Wetmore. We recap our shenanigans at last week's Record Expo. We all came away with some really cool stuff, and I'm very happy to announce that on Monday, this Monday show, I'll be talking about the recently released Van Halen box set with author Greg Renoff.
Yes. And we unboxed that, oh God, how many weeks ago? A few weeks. Yeah, was it last week? Or Jon Snow had it on. Goodness. Time flies. I'm going to be taking a couple of weeks off after this. We will be back on November the 17th with Harrison, Jex Russell, and for the very first time ever, we are going to have Plaw on the show. Jex's buddy Plaw. If you have seen their Van Halen video, I highly recommend you check it out. I believe I shared it on my Facebook page this afternoon. It has Jex introducing Plaw to the song "Get Up" by Van Halen for the first time. It's Plaw's very first time ever hearing the song. He's going nuts as soon as he hears that guitar, and then they just start spontaneously dancing. And I find this to be probably the funniest video that I've ever watched. I love watching it. There's just so much joy as they're discovering this music and dancing to it spontaneously. So I'm looking forward to having Jex and Plaw on the show November 17th. But I think I'm going to take a break until then. Much deserved, because I got business with Tim, I got business with Peter, and I'm going to be otherwise occupied. Thank you so much for the wonderful comments tonight, guys. And yes, please do watch the show from the beginning, because T-Bone Erickson outdid himself this time. It was amazing, and I'm going to turn that into a YouTube short. And Mike, yes, we are, aren't we? It's like we're guarding the nuclear codes or something like that. But trust me, you're gonna love these shows that we have planned. I'm gonna be getting up bright and early tomorrow and talking with Tim. Oh yes, that's right. Look at that. Brent has met Eddie. There's a story in Volmer's book that when Helix were touring, Eddie Van Halen went up and grabbed Brent's guitar and started miming it during Rock You. Oh man, Brent, write a book, my friend. You need to. You need to. Thanks for joining, everybody. As you know, we like to go out on a song every time. What song should we play this time? I don't know. Harrison, do you got any ideas? You know what? There's one person we haven't talked about tonight, and he's important. He's an important part of the story to this show. Back when I quit doing the live streaming thing in July of 22, Meat's like, you got to do this again. You got to get back in the live stream. I know you don't want to put a lot of work into it. I know you just want to grab stacks of rock and show them off. So why don't you just grab a stack of rock and make that into a show? So we need to honor the Meat Man, because he is the one who sort of spurred this and got the ball rolling. So let's do something with Uncle Meat singing lead vocals. Let's do a song that he actually likes and not a Max the Axe tune. He doesn't particularly care for some of his performances there for some reason. Let's see. Oh God, do I not have these songs?
The heavy cutting ones.
I don't think I have it loaded. Crap. Okay, so we're gonna do a Max the Axe song with Uncle Meat singing lead vocals. This is his very best song. This is a song called "God's on the Radio." Thank you so much, everybody. Check these guys out on their channels. Check out Rob on the radio tonight, and we will see you November 17th. Happy 1 year.
Fuck off.